Okay, I'll start. Good morning, fellow Toastmasters and guests. I am Shweta Valke, Sergeant at Arms for today's meeting, and I welcome you all to 115th meeting of Speaker Squad Toastmaster Club. Before we start the meeting, I would like to lay out three basic ground rules. First, keep your phones on silent mode. Second, be on video as much as possible. Third, avoid talking about sex, religion, and politics. As everyone in life have a mission to accomplish their goals, we at the Toastmasters Club also have a mission. Mission of our club is to provide positive learning experience and to all the members in which they have the opportunity to work on their leadership and communication skills. With this, to start our meeting, I would like to invite the presiding officer for today's meeting, President of our club, Toastmaster Richard.
Thank you, Toastmaster Sheta, and good morning to each and every one of you. And we all gather here each week. And one must ask, what is Toastmasters International? It is a non-profit educational organization that teaches public speaking and leadership skills through worldwide network of clubs. Now, when I say worldwide, it has approximately about 280,000 memberships in more than 14,700 clubs, and one last number, in 144 countries. Since 1924, Toastmaster International has helped people from diverse backgrounds become more confident speakers, communicators, and leaders. I would also like to add a better listener as well. So without any further ado, I would like to call this meeting to order. Now I was thinking what joke or what will I say today? And every day making jokes isn't great. So let me make it a little more serious today. Life is a journey between two letters of the alphabet, B and D. So can someone take a guess? What does B stand for? Let me reiterate. Life is a journey between two
Birth.
letters of the.
Birth.
Birth and death.
Okay, superb. Now the next question. What is in our control is between those two letters, which is C. So what does C stand for now?
Choice.
Wow. Did I share this template with Varun or something? let me assure you I didn't. So we all learn to choose. We make a lot of choices on a daily basis. Apples, oranges, coffee, tea, biryani. What are the other foods? I have hardly eaten any other food lately. So as we make choices, we live our lives, we can learn, choose not to prove to somebody, but to improve. And what better way to improve than coming on a Saturday morning and become a better speaker here? Do we have any guests today? Let me just see. I don't seem to see any unfamiliar names. With that, I do not have any announcements as well. So we have an interesting theme which I have no clue about. So without any further ado, let me introduce our Toastmaster of the day. She's a data engineer who loves to solve problems. She's also a bit of a puzzle enthusiast, and I love listening to her table topics. Sometimes she exceeds time, but she's getting better on week basis now. And who also enjoys working out and staying in shape. So can you please have a huge round of applause to Toastmaster Richa.
Thank you, Presiding Officer Toastmaster Richard, and good morning, fellow Toastmasters. There are no guests, so all are Toastmasters today. It's a bright Saturday morning, and it's lovely to see you all. This last week, I'm sure you all have followed something historic happening. Please raise your hand if you have not, or if you're not aware of what's going on around. What's the history that has been created? You all are aware?
Yes.
Okay. How many of you actually watched the live telecast of it? I see Madhusmita's hand going up. I did. So the rest of you did not actually watch it live, right? Great. That's fine then. So I have the opportunity to take you through a journey of Lunar Odyssey. That's the theme for today. Well, obviously, the theme came from the fact that something special has happened with respect to this lunar missions this week. Nonetheless, it's always astronomy or anything related to the universe and space or planets has always interested me. I have even given a speech once long back about it, and when I got the opportunity, I couldn't let this opportunity of using this as the theme go by. So we'll talk more about why such explorations, or why space, why the fascination, why do we need such explorations, and then of the space explorations or lunar missions which have happened in the past up until date today, right? So we'll talk all about this in the meeting today. Before we begin, let us get to know about how the meeting is going to be structured. Since all of you have been a Toastmaster or have attended at least one meeting, you know the structure of any Toastmaster meeting. We have three sections in common. In general, that's the prepared speech. The second is table topics section, and the third is general evaluation, right? To cover all of these sections, we have a set of role takers who will be coming and helping us make sure that whoever takes the virtual stage today, they are given feedback. So let us welcome the general evaluator for today, who is going to introduce the rest of the role takers for the meeting. Now, the general evaluator for today is one of the, I wouldn't say newest members, but a recent joinee in our club that she's joined in this year. However, her speeches have always been so fantastic, so motivating that I always look forward to hers. Doesn't matter whatever role she takes up, right? To her speaking and listening to her. She is a software engineering manager at HPE Aruba, and she is a firm believer in the quote, one should never stop learning because life never stops teaching. Well, with that, let us all join our hands to welcome Toastmaster Sheetal for today's, as general evaluator for today.
Thank you, Toastmaster Richa. Good morning to you. Good morning, fellow Toastmasters. Lunar Odyssey, such an interesting theme, such an interesting topic. The first thing that comes to mind on hearing this is definitely Chandrayaan 3 now. So though initially it was Apollo 11, which landed Neil on moon for the first time, such a proud moment for all of us. It feels awesome that we are the first to land on a yet unexplored part of moon's surface. So having said that, I'm the general evaluator for today's meeting. I'll be evaluating everything that is going to happen during the meeting. And I will also be responsible for coordinating the evaluation team that would also be called as the TAC team. So first, it is important to get the message across in the given time and ensure the meeting runs as per the schedule. So for that, we have our timer for today. Our timer for today is someone who believes that the most important thing in life is to be happy and enjoy it. He's from Gwalior by profession, who likes free time cycling and on personal finance. Please welcome timer for today's meeting, Toastmaster Varun. Toastmaster Varun.
Thank you, Sheetal, for such a nice introduction, and good morning to all. So as a timer, I have the responsibility to time every of the speaker, which includes the table topic, formal speech, and evaluation. And I will also alert the speaker when the time is touching. So for the table topic, the time is 1 minute, which is green, 1.5 minutes is yellow, 2 minutes is red. And today we have a special speech, which is like L4 level. So the timings will be different. It will be green for 10 minutes, 12.5 for yellow, and 15 for red. And for evaluation, it will be like 2 minutes is green, 2.3 or 2.5 minutes is like yellow, and 3 minutes is red. Over to you, Toastmaster Sheetal.
Thank you, Toastmaster Varun, for sharing that guidance. So our counter for today is an avid reader and a gardener. She's from Bhubaneswar and works as senior technical business analyst. She has joined us recently, and it's really amazing to see her proactively taking up roles. To track the use of verbal pauses, our counter for today is Toastmaster Madhusmita. Toastmaster Madhusmita.
Thank you, Toastmaster Seetal. Good morning, everyone. So I will be taking the role of Toast counter for today's session. So in your speech, I'll be observing the filler words or sounds. Filler words like, unnecessary words like usually, basically, actually. So well, or, the sounds like or er. So I'll be reporting the number of times you have used these words or sounds in your speech, and I'll submit the report at the end of our session. Thanks, everyone. Over to you, Toastmaster Seetal.
Thank you, Toastmaster Madhusmita. So grammarian will be listening to the good usage of the language, and she's going to share her feedback for our own improvement at the end of the session. Our grammarian enjoys reading and writing. Yesterday was history, tomorrow is a mystery, and today is a gift. That's why it is called present. This is her favorite quote from the movie Kung Fu Panda. This is also one of my personal favorites, and I don't know how many times I've watched it. It's like I quote it as a number of times now. And whenever I get an opportunity, I go back and watch a lot of takeaways from this movie. Too much of positivity. So welcome Toastmaster Deepa, our grammarian for today. Toastmaster Deepa.
Thank you. Thank you, Toastmaster Sheetal, and a warm morning to everyone. Well, as the role mentions, grammarian, I look for the better usage of words, the proper sentence construction, the proper usage of grammar, also identify inappropriate usage of sentences and words and so forth. And I also would like to introduce the word of the day. It's remorse, meaning it's a noun. It means a feeling of sadness because you have done something wrong. You can put it the other way down. I don't feel remorse about anything because you did not do anything wrong. That's a positive way of saying it. Okay, I think in today's topic, maybe we could start using these words. And I'll also count for people who will be using these words in today's speech. And maybe when somebody uses the word for today, maybe we can just give a thumbs up. Yeah. Okay. Over to you, Toastmaster Sheetal. Thank you.
Thank you, Toastmaster Deepa. Toastmaster, over to you, Toastmaster Richa. We will be sharing the report at the end of the meeting. Thank you, Toastmaster Richa.
Thank you, Toastmaster Sheetal and the entire tag team. So, folks, please look out for the timer counter grammarian to get additional feedback, and they'll come at the end of the section. Until then, let us move forward with our theme of Lunar Odyssey. Now, my question is, have you all ever looked at the sky and wondered what's out there? I see Richard nodding. Anyone else? I see Sheetal raising hand. Madhusmita doesn't look at the sky. Varun doesn't even care about it. Okay, that's just a joke. Kidding, okay? So yes, it's fascinating, right? When you look at the sky, you see so many lights, so many small stars, the moon, there's the sun which comes, and it's fascinated human beings, of course, since ages, right? So they have tried to find out the secrets of the universe. Now, one of the ways is to obviously get out of Earth and try and find out. Not so easy. Easier said than done, because we human beings need oxygen to survive, which is not available in the outer space. You don't have gravity in outer space. So there's so many challenges out there, right? Hence, any space mission is more or less bound to fail. I would like to put that way. So even if you're able to get to the success point, it's a huge achievement because there's so many things which could go wrong. However, human beings being human beings, they did not give up, and they have been trying to reach outer space, the moon, the other planets, asteroids out there for so long. So let me tell you, when was the first time? Any guesses? When was the first time any country ever tried to think of reaching the moon in any which ways?
First was Russia, then US.
Russia and US, yes. Would you like to take a guess on how long ago was that? Any year or anything that you would want to put to that?
Not sure, but 1946 or something. Very clear.
No. So they might have, I think it was about after the World Wars got over. That's only when they started thinking of all of these missions. However, 1958 was the time when any country ever thought of trying to reach out to moon. Why moon? Can anyone answer that question? Why do we want to reach the moon?
Because it's a natural satellite visible from here.
Okay.
So we were kind of wanted to explore what is.
So maybe Earth is getting crowded and people start whatever if we will explore.
Definitely one of the biggest reasons why humans want to corrupt every other planet. Anyone else?
I think it's what the idea of water, which is keen for survival, maybe.
It's again water as well. However, the reason or the answer that I'm looking for is, think of it this way. The closest natural object or natural celestial body closest to Earth is the moon. There is no other celestial body which is closer to Earth than moon. Hence, reaching the moon is easiest. Well, it's not easy, but it's the easiest of even thinking about anything else, right? Hence, trying and reaching the moon, if humans have to settle or have to go and make a base outside Earth on any other celestial body, they probably moon will be the first to be conquered that way because it's the closest to Earth. It revolves around Earth, so the distance and all of that, it just makes it easier, right? It just makes it feel achievable. So that's one of the biggest reasons why moon. Think of it, the distance between Earth and moon is so less. If you, the second nearest object to Earth could be either Mars or could be Venus. Both of them at a very huge distance. So definitely the orbit wise, the atmosphere wise, the heat from the sun and all can actually make a big difference out there, right? With that, let's move on and talk about the prepared speech section. I talk about what's the first successful mission to actually land on moon, but we'll talk about that a bit later. Let's get started with the prepared speech section. Today we just have one speaker for the day. That's Toastmaster Priya, and for her, Toastmaster Richard is actually going to take up the evaluation. We all know Toastmaster Richard. He is the presiding officer of our club and one of the fitness enthusiasts of our club, who actually, let me get the introduction that I really wanted to share about him. There's this one line which I found. Yeah, he believes in a calm mind. A house full of love cannot be bought. They must be earned. He's a voracious reader. His favorite author is Dale Carnegie. And with that, I know, Richard, you actually do a lot of stuff which we all would probably want to inculcate in some or the other ways in our life. With that, over to you, Toastmaster Richard.
Thank you, Toastmaster Richa. Let me lay out the purpose statement for our speaker today. The purpose of this project is for the member to practice the skills needed to address the audience challenges, especially when she presents it outside of the Toastmaster Club. So, can we call our first speaker today? So over to you, Toastmaster Richa.
Just a second. Okay, I missed to take Priya's speech title. Can you share your speech title on chat, Priya?
Shared it on your WhatsApp.
Okay. Okay. So we all know Toastmaster Priya is a chartered accountant by profession and works at EY, and she is someone who loves to teach and probably help the needy people out. Richard, you're raising your hand. Yes.
Yes. So let me clarify. I know many of us may not have heard such a speech. Many of us are new also here, right? Even I haven't participated in such a speech. So in one of the PDFs, it mentions at the meeting, explain the purpose of this project to all the audience. So while Priya is giving her speech, as an audience, we try to play our roles as an audience. So it helps her in her future. So this is why the speech is 10 to 15 minutes, even though Priya will be giving a 5 to 7 minute speech. Okay, so I hope everybody has understood why the speech is why it is what it is. So it helps the speaker to practicing managing difficult audience members. So that is basic purpose of the speech. Thank you. Over to you, Toastmaster Richard.
Thank you, Toastmaster Richard, for explaining that. So it's one of a kind speech, folks. Our club probably has not witnessed such a speech earlier, or maybe it's been a really long time that we witnessed one of these, right? So let's see how that goes. With that, Toastmaster Priya, a smile, Toastmaster Priya.
A smile costs nothing, but it creates much. Most of us might have heard this sentence for a number of times, but how many times have we tried to analyze the true sense of it? How many times have we tried to inculcate it in our lives? How many times have we given a second thought on what others want from us? Good morning, fellow Toastmasters and my dear friends. Today, I'm going to share a story on the title, A Smile. In this fast-paced world where everything is available at the tip of our fingers, we are just busy with ourselves and do not think about others. With this, let me take you to the world of two childhood friends, Kavya and Navya. Both of them were currently working in corporates. Navya earned a handsome amount of salary, whereas Kavya withdrew a big fat salary. Navya was a sweet girl who would always like to help the needy. She was always, she spent the maximum amount of time with the underprivileged ones and always tried to help anyone in the best possible manner. Whereas Kavya was always busy with herself. She was always complaining with the limited amount of time that she had for even herself. And always, she also
Toastmaster Richard, I see you slightly agitated. Is there a reason for the same?
Yes, I'm very agitated. It's too humid here, Sheetal.
Okay.
So,
or I thought there was an important reason for the agitation. Is there anything you recollect or you want to share with us?
No, not really, Sheetal. Probably I'll reach out to you and see if I can share something.
Okay, sure.
And should I continue? Okay, so and Kavya was always complaining about others, and she also complained about others' outward unnecessary disturbances. One fine day, both of them were going out in a car when suddenly the car stopped at a red traffic light. One lady who was standing adjacent to the window seat of Kavya uh, saw Kavya and she recollected one past incident and immediately turned away. She went to the opposite side of the car where Navya was sitting. As soon as she saw Navya, she gave her a flower and a huge broad smile. The traffic light turned green, the car moved on. On the way, Kavya became very curious and she asked, Navya, I earn more than you. This lady lives near our house. Then how come she gave you a broad smile? And she was horrified when looking to me. And her smile, which is so contagious, must have surely made your day. To this, Navya replied, Remember one day, her son had met with an accident. She came to you in a blood-stained sari, asking for help. That day, you had a meeting with the top
Sorry,
official.
yeah, I'm lost. Sorry, what happened in the traffic jam? I mean, how did somebody get back to their vehicle? I think you missed the connection there. Can you come back?
So there was a traffic. There was a traffic light, red light, but the car actually stopped. And then there was a lady standing adjacent to the window side where Kavya was sitting. As soon as she saw Kavya, she remembered one incident, and she was horrified seeing her, and so she turned away. She went to the opposite direction of the car where Navya was sitting. And when she saw Navya, she gave her a red flower, and along with the pontage and along with a broad smile. And once the traffic light turned green, the car moved, and Kavya became curious. She asked about this to Navya, like what was the reason that the lady gifted her a flower and a broad smile. Also, Kavya added that her smile, which is so contagious, might surely have made Navya's day. To this, Navya replied, remember one day, her son had met with an accident, and she came to you with a blood-stained sari, asking for help. The same day, you had a meeting with the top officials on the company, and you were dressed in the business attire and shooed her away. That day, again, she came to me. I took her to the hospital, got her son admitted, and that was the incident which she remembered. Kavya realized her mistake, and she realized that this was not done. So, my dear friends, I would urge you to recall any one incident that you might have done.
Can you tell us one incident from your life? I mean, this Navya Kavya story.
My life, so this story is little bit inspired from my life only. There lives a lady near my house. She is my best friend. I go to her house daily and give her whatever I can. So this is a little bit inspired story from my life. Even now I have gone and give it and came back to Toastmaster, honey. So, and this you know. So that is it. So my dear friends, recall any activity where you have involved to spread smile, or any activity where you perchance had made someone sad. Which one could you recollect? Well, most of you might have recollected the latter. While watching Mahabharat, I got very nice quote, Punya ka sanchay, meaning collecting good deeds. While it is true that it is not possible to be good at all times in this harsh world, but it is also not impossible to be good sometimes to make this bitter world a more sweeter place to live in. It does not require a heart of it does not require much. It only requires a little bit of love, an attitude of selflessness, and a heart of pure gold. It does not take away much from the one who gives, but gives a lot of pleasure to the one who receives. It brings happiness to the weary, sunshine to the sad, and cheerfulness to the discouraged. So, and it is the best antidote for nature's, and it is the best antidotes for all the troubles. So, with this, I would like to wrap up with a quote, a good deed a day keeps all negativity away. That's it from my side. Thank you.
Thank you, Toastmaster Priya. And can we all give a big round of applause to her for actually navigating through the disruptions? And I'm sure Toastmaster Richard will have a lot to add in his evaluation. But until then, coming back to our theme for the day, Lunar Odyssey. So I'm so excited about telling you all that the first successful venture to land on moon was Russia back in 1959. 58 was a failure. So 59, they again went back to the moon, and it was the Lunar 2 mission, which reached the lunar surface. However, all of them reached the North Pole. When I say North Pole, you look at the moon. I'm not sure how many of you are aware. I think most of us are already aware that we only see one face of the moon. We have never seen the South Pole or the darker side of the moon. The face that we always see, the moon that we always see, is just the one of the front faces of the moon, because the moon rotates along with the Earth's revolution actually. So yeah, it's not able to it doesn't we are not never able to see. That's where South Pole of the moon, which is like the darker side of it, that which the human beings on our Earth can't see, has never been explored because we don't know what lies over there. Right, so all of these missions which up until now had landed on the north side of the moon. So Luna 2 was the first one to land a rover on the moon back in 1959 by the then Soviet Union, not even Russia, Soviet Union. That was the times of the Cold War between USA and Russia. Right, so now since Russia landed, how can USA be so far behind? So USA went ahead and tried. NASA was trying and trying and trying. The first time NASA got landed on moon was in 1964. It was the Ranger 7 mission, which actually landed on the moon. Well, that's all. These were not the ones which had human beings on them. These were just rovers, right? So even if they fail, it's okay. We cry, we weep, we waste a ton of money, but human beings, that's a very critical mission. So the first time, which I think Toastmaster Sheetal has already mentioned, a person landed on the moon was way back in 1969. And if I remember it right, it was in July. Let me get the date fine, okay. It was in July. Yes, it was 16th July 1969. And the first person to land on moon was Neil Armstrong. The mission was Apollo 11 mission. It carried 3 persons from Earth: Neil Armstrong, Edwin Aldrin, and an Indian American on board, Rakesh Sharma. So there were 3 people on the moon on the mission. 2 of them landed on the moon, while Rakesh Sharma made sure that the Apollo 11 aircraft orbited the moon so that they all could come back to Earth. So the mission wasn't just about reaching Earth, but coming back as well. Too big of a task way back in 1969, imagine, okay? But before we imagine all that, I want to ask you all this question. Do you guys know what was the first words spoken on moon? First person to land on moon was Neil Armstrong. He landed on the moon and he said something. Can any of you tell me what was that? No? Then no one read the poster yesterday. No one looked at the message that I shared yesterday.
There are 2 things, Richa. So one thing, a single step for man is a big leap for the mankind. But the second thing which I have little objection is the Rakesh Sharma thing. He never went for a US Apollo 11. India has a tie with Russia. So I was just thinking why you're saying third person was an Indian on the moon.
He did. He was of Indian origin. India had a tie-up with Russia, but he was of Indian origin. There were 3 people on that mission.
Rakesh Sharma went through Apollo 11, you're saying?
Yes.
Okay.
So that's from what I remember, but I can get back to you with the correct one. But yeah, so you're very close on the first word spoken, that this is one small step for a man, one giant leap for mankind. That was the first word spoken on the planet, not on the planet, on the satellite, yeah, moon, right? Can any of you tell me the specs of your mobile phone right now? No one wants to share it. No one wants to tell how much do they spend on their mobile. Okay, you all at least have a 32 GB phone on your hand, right? A minimum 32 GB with minimum 4 GB RAM. Correct?
Yes.
Now imagine Your phone still might have some slowness, might still have some hangs or something like that, right? It might still have some slowness. It might, oh my God, 4 GB is not working for me. I will still have, I want to go ramp it up to maybe 6 GB or 8 GB RAMs, right? Imagine going to the moon in a computer with a software or a hardware, not really software, yeah, device, which has specs you can't even think of like 10 years ago, 20 years ago. Also, the computer, the personal computers that we had at our homes were way, way more powerful than the computer or the hardware of diesel Apollo 11 mission. So if you think of it, now what was achieved way back then was humongous. Going to the moon with something less than not even your mobile phone. Mobile phone is still powerful, more powerful than the computer that they had that time. So just imagine that, right? The enormity. However, having said that, it's a big controversy out there whether Apollo 11 actually went to moon. There, if you actually go on web, I don't want to really dig into it a lot. However, there are uh, there are people who have raised uh, flags saying that Apollo 11 never went to the moon. However, who knows? We all go by the fact that Apollo 11 landed on moon. Neil Armstrong was the first person. Edwin Aldrin was the second one, and then yes, after that, NASA or America did not really give a lot of budget because Soviet Union disintegrated. So the war, the Cold War between the two countries was not strong enough that they would even try to land on moon. The budgets were cut down. Hence, the race to moon, to land people on moon, slowed down. That's why we never saw any moon missions on humans going out and on other planets. And that's why, like 1969, we were able to achieve this. It's 2023 now, right? Almost 50, 60 years. Why have we not progressed? Because money, budget was not shared. With that, let's move on to the next section, which is the table topics section of the day, which is going to be conducted by Toastmaster. Wait, just let me. Yep. Table topics section is going to be conducted by none other than Toastmaster Deepa again. So over to you, Toastmaster Deepa, for the table topics as the table topics master for the day.
Thank you, Toastmaster Richa. So I think we have good amount of time to go to the table topics today, and let me also bring in some interesting topics. As the formality goes, I need a volunteer to come in. We have just 7 of us. I think we can just start picking. Yes. Who would like to go first? Okay, Varun, I think I'll choose you. Okay.
Sure, Toastmaster Deepa.
So here is the topic for you. How old would you be if you did not know how old are you?
Sure. So if I have that luxury to decide how old I am, it will be my childhood. It's like my teens where I have to be full of energy and running. And I still somewhere is in that mindset. To be honest, if someone will not remind me, I still think like that. And I still think my parents of the same age when I was the teen, which means I think that they are full of energy. They can roam with me. They can have any food, unlike what is the reality. So if I don't know, or if I don't see a mirror, or if no one reminds me, it's the teenage which I want to be. Over to you, Deepa.
Thank you. Thank you, Toastmaster Varun. I think most of us agree to it, right? We just want to go back to that one beautiful moment in our life. We were in school or in college where we were just not bothered about anything, anything at all in the world. So very nicely put across, Toastmaster Varun. Thank you so much. Who would like to take the next topic? I mean, today we're going to play around this age cutting only, okay? So let me just give this. Okay, now that is Richard. For Richard, I would like to give this topic. When you are 80 years old, what will matter to you the most?
When you were 8 years old?
80 years old. What will matter to
Okay.
you the most?
When I'm 80 years old, what will matter the most is, did I love the people that who loved me the most, which would be my parents, my friends. That would be the very first thing. The second thing is, did I have a good relationship with my kids and with my wife? Because that's the second part of life that probably I'll be entering into in the next phase. And last but not the least, I would say, did I make an impact to one person's life in my 80 years? Did I change somebody's trajectory? Can I be proud? Can I go ahead and proudly say, yes, I helped this person and this person has made it in life? It can be a very small thing. I can give them an advice and they'll be like, wow, that advice changed my life. And these three things matter the most because we are human beings, where we are emotional. By the end of the day, we all need to cherish our loved ones. And followed by that, I would always say, enjoy your time with your friends and never think too much about what's going to be the consequences. You never know if you're going to live tomorrow or not. So I wish and I hope I live until 80 years, and I'm always running on my daily schedule. Thank you, Toastmaster Deepa.
Thank you, Toastmaster Richard. I think that was well thought through words you put across. But I remember my grandpa used to say, right, till my last day, I just want to be physically fit. I don't want to depend on anyone. I think that still stays back in my memory. Uh, Whatever it is, I just don't want to ask anyone even for a glass of water. I should be able to go myself and pick it up. And I think that's the most in-depth saying I had heard from my grandfather, and it still stays in my memory. And he lived a life like that. So, okay, thanks for sharing that. So, who would like to pick the next topic? Okay, so Sheetal, the topic for you is, in haste of your daily life, what are you not seeing? Like, we did not see the poster, for instance.
Sorry, Deepa, could you please repeat?
In the haste of your daily life, what are you not seeing?
So, with respect to the daily life, we are so caught up running around, making things happen. What I'm not seeing is the depth, the peace that is really important and required. Just running after materialistic things, not focusing too much on health, well-being. Yes, the deeper meaning is missing. That is what I feel. Sometimes I want to sit down calmly, just think about what is going on, what is that really makes sense. Is this really important that I'm doing? Sometimes I go into that loop where I think, what is life? What are we supposed to do? What does it even mean? Why are we here? What is the purpose? There are so many questions that keep coming back again and again. So I do respond to these thoughts. I try to get involved, saying, okay, there's no purpose in life. Ultimately, I come to this conclusion that ultimately there's no purpose in life. We are just here. We are born by chance, we did not prepare for it. We did not choose it. We are just here by chance. And there is no purpose, absolutely no purpose. We are all going to die one day. And so let's spend the time, or it's just the experience that we are building. So let's make it nice. So this is what I get when I sit and think. But yes, I miss seeing it every day, and I keep running behind the materialistic things. Over to you, Toastmaster Deepa.
Thank you, Toastmaster Sheetal. I think that was very from your heart. I think you just spoke from your heart, and it was very nice. So we take 2 more topics. Do we have time? I think we have a lot of time. Yeah. Okay. So Richa, I think that I would like to ask you this. What are your top 5 personal values?
Sorry, is someone sharing the screen?
I think that's Varun. I think he's trying to get the timer.
Yes.
Thing, yeah.
Deepa, can you repeat the question? Sorry, I kind of got confused.
Yeah, sure. The question is, what are your top 5 personal values?
5 personal values to cover in 1 to 2 minutes is quite less. However, I would like to say what biggest value that I preferably like to live by is 1, live as simple as possible. Break down things into as simple thing as possible. Whenever I'm conflicted, let's say if I have to think of whether I want to buy an iPhone or a Samsung Galaxy, if you just have to decide for any example, okay. So I break it down. It's too complicated for me. I'll break it down into the simplest thing. What is it that I want to do via? What is it that I want to do with the mobile? That I want to use it for the primary reason. So let's break that down and go with what serves the primary purpose. All the other secondary factors, the camera, the power, the storage, and all are secondary to me. The primary reason that I want to use it for, I go by that. So break down into simplest form. That's one of the biggest rules that I live by. Second is minimalism, right? I, as a human being, want to leave the lesser footprint I can on Earth. Everything that we around, I know it's a lot of philosophy. However, a lot of things that we purchase or use in our life as human beings, a lot of them leave a huge amount of carbon footprint on Earth, whether knowingly or unknowingly. We are all contributor to our Earth becoming a bit more polluted by the day, a bit more uh, unlivable by the day. I'm not sure that's even a word, but that's what it is. So I don't want to uh, carry the remorse that I did not try my bit. So that's the second thing that I try to live with. Be as minimal as possible in consuming any of the products. So if I can live without something, I'll try and do that. The third thing is I want to get rid of it, but it's perfectionism. I'm a perfectionist by nature. Howsoever, there's not something that I vouch for. We should all get started. So I'm trying to turn it into around that. Stop being a perfectionist and probably just get started and do something. Do the one thing that you want to try it out. So make it perfect by iterations and not by just thought that I'll start when I'm ready for the perfection. So that's the third thing, right? Give up the attitude of perfectionism, I would say. The fourth thing I would like to go by is fitness. And of course, a fit body, a fit mind cannot be bought, as Toastmaster Richard believes, which is very true. And if our body doesn't support us, nothing in the world will be enjoyed by us, right? We can't really enjoy anything unless and until our body is fit. The fifth thing is probably a bit of humanity. Now, humanity encompasses a lot of things. It could be kindness, it could be humility. So we are humans, and let's make sure that humans is above our, as a human, we are all about making sure we spread a little smile, we spread a little kindness in the world and make it a much better place to live in. With that, I hope I did not sound a lot philosophical. Back to you, table topics master, Toastmaster Deepa.
Thank you, Toastmaster Richa. I think today's topic was all around being philosophical to ourselves, but it was well spoken, and you covered a lot of things around. And the reason I gave you the topic was I'm sure you will pick up the fitness aspect there. Okay, so it was very nice to know about what you really feel about yourself and what you would like to think through. Thank you so much. So, Madhusmita, I think you could take this topic because you would be the one who will be left out without speaking.
Yeah. Yes.
Okay. Let me just give you something different. What is your favorite song and why do you like it?
So you were asking what is my favorite song?
Song
Okay.
and why do you like it? Yeah.
Yes,
And why
yes,
is it?
yes. So I mostly like the 80s or 90s songs, Bollywood music. Songs by Kishore Kumar or Lata Mangeshkar. Those two are my most favorite singers. Why I like? Because those generation songs, the melody I could connect whenever I'm in stress, whenever I am not feeling, I'm not being in the moment. If I can play one of the Lata Mangeshkar songs, I can, rejuvenate myself and feel energetic to do some more work because I could connect that voice. Not nowadays, so many, the music is very noisy. During those times, I mean the voice of singers will be upfront, and music is will be played in background, and it is soothing music. That is missing in new generation songs. Uh, so yeah, so I like songs of 90s those era songs. I could connect with those singers. I feel energetic while listening to those songs. That's something I'm missing in new days songs. So yeah,
Do you want to sing a few lines for us?
I'm not a good singer. I don't have that voice. Sorry, it's only for listening purpose.
So true, so true. They are like evergreen songs, I mean, you just want to type in like melodies, it goes back to the 80s, 90s, the whole Hindi songs. The similar ones which were taken in Tamil and Malayalam, it's like it just makes your day, makes your moment. I also do that when I'm stressed or when I really want to focus on something. I put this music, I sit and I just work on what I need to work. I get my focus back. So thank you so much, Madhusmita, for sharing your thoughts around it. So I think we have done with the table topics. Now let me hand over the stage back to Toastmaster of the day, Toastmaster Richa. Thank you.
Sir Deepa, for that fun table topics section, the topics were really different and interesting. Of course, a lot of perspectives, a lot of information out of everyone. With that, let's talk a bit about the Lunar Odyssey. Now, we talked about Russia reaching space, moon. We talked about US reaching moon. Meanwhile, China also did a few of its missions and landed on moon since after 1969 till now, but it was all rover, not human beings. Coming to India, India started its tryst with moon, the mission Chandrayaan 1. The mission of Chandrayaan 1 was not to land on moon. So it was just an orbiter, right? Chandrayaan 2 was supposed to land on moon. However, we all know how that went. We were so close to the South Pole, but in the very last few minutes, due to some, and that also were a few, the glitches were actually incorporated into the software of Chandrayaan 2, wherein there were a few parameters which were upper and lower parameters, let's say of the speed and velocity, which were configured that way that the lander, the Vikram lander, will not be able to control it, which our scientists corrected this time around. And I was so pretty confident that this time it will actually land because we have learned from our mistakes. And India on 23rd August 2023 made history by being the first ever country to land on the south pole of the moon. It's such a proud moment for entire India because it leads or it places India in the elite league of those countries which have landed on moon, and it makes India one of the reliable destinations for space explorations. India is already a destination for satellite launches. If any of you are not aware, India launches a lot of satellites for different countries which do not have their own space missions as such. So our PSLV vehicles are pretty popular out there. If we think that the budget is too huge, the budget of Chandrayaan 3 was 600 crore. I know it's doing a lot of rounds that Interstellar had a bigger budget than this. A lot of Indian movies also have a bigger budget than this, which is fine. However, India does earn back. If we actually understand it, all these missions tell other countries which do not really have these big space missions, but they want their own satellites, that India can launch successfully. So by launching their satellites through our polar satellite launch vehicles, we actually earn a lot of money back, whatever we put in research. So it's not all down the drain, folks. That's one of the things. The other thing is, why moon missions, right? As I already said, moon is the closest to Earth. However, there's a history as well that it's said. Again, I am highlighting this, that the history of universe, how it came into existence, is all like something we have, none of us have seen, right? None of us know it. We can just say that something like this happened. So it's like Earth, moon probably formed from Earth, was a breakaway formation from the planet Earth like billions of millions of years ago, and that's why moon can actually lead to a lot of answers on how uh, Earth, or how life on Earth came into being, or how Earth was when it actually was formed, because moon broke off from Earth and it doesn't really have life as we know it as of now. So it can answer a lot of questions about the early formation of our planet. Hence, the quest to have these explorations on moon, get samples from moon, bring it back and research more. A lot of, I know by the time we go on our journey for the next 30, 40 years, a lot of these stuff we are going to see a lot of history being created. Probably India may also land a few people. I wouldn't say men only, people on moon. And that's something I'm really, really looking forward to. Let's hope that those missions are successful. Meanwhile, let's come back to our meeting and go to our third section, which is the general evaluation section, which is again going to be led by Toastmaster Sheetal as the general evaluator. Sheetal, are you there?
Yes. Thank you, Toastmaster Richa. You're able to hear me? Hello?
Yes, yes, yes.
Okay, sure. Sorry, there's some issue with my internet connection. Okay, that is the reason. So let's get started with the evaluation round. This evaluation for the speech. I would request Toastmaster Richard to share the feedback for Toastmaster Priya's speech.
Thank you, Toastmaster Shitil. Smile costs nothing but gives much. What a beautiful way to start off the speech, by making the audience think how many times, how many times, how many times. And confidence comes not from always being right, but not fearing to be wrong. And what I commend from your speech today was navigating throughout the disruptions. You had a smile on your face. It did not bog you down. The second best part was you were also able to navigate the first disruption by Sheetal. What you did was you waited for the conversation to be over. You did not say, can I go ahead with my speech? You waited for me or Sheetal to calm down. My recommendation for you would be, especially when Toastmaster Deepa asked you a question that I was not able to connect, you gave her the gist and you could have asked her a question. Are you able to connect now, Deepa? Yeah. Is there something still missing from my end where you're not able to relate? The second recommendation that I had for you throughout the disruption, the last disruption by Richa, was she asked you to give an example. Now you have to put yourself in a situation where you're answering the audience. So the audience do not know that you and Richa are related. Yeah, because you told you know this. Yeah, Richa might know, but the audience do not know that you both are related and she knows the story behind it. So you should have explained it in such a way where the audience should not, or not necessarily the audience should know that you both are related. Because we do not know, or let's say if I'm new to this meeting, I do not know you both are related. We both might have the same surname. So navigating that would be my request for you. Now, there are tiny bits, and this is not part of the evaluation for this speech, because in this speech, it's very clearly elaborated that I can only evaluate on the disruptions part. But there are very tiny things that I would ask you to do is join the meeting before 5 minutes, if possible, to adjust your camera, because throughout the meeting, you were looking down. Your eye contact was always down, not straight ahead. That is number one. Number two was your pace was at the same level. It looked like you were trying to finish the speech as much as possible. It went at the same pace. You could have slowed down. You could have varied your pace. Number three is this is a different speech. Now, I may be wrong here, but reach out to the VP Education 3 or 4 days ahead. Reason being, uh, this will help the audience member to play their role better. And this will indeed help you to engage with the audience outside the Toastmaster Club. Today's disruptions may have been there, but we could have audience could have played their role much better. And last but not the least, I would still say, fill the form of evaluation sheet. There was no title there. I could have given the title to Richa, but I purposely didn't because I knew it was missing. And these are very small things. You can write your name. You can write what is the title of the speech. These are very minute things, but they say what lies behind us and what lies before us are tiny matters compared to what lies with us. So with that, I would say a good deed a day keeps a doctor away. So congratulations on completing your L4P1 speech, and I'm looking forward to your upcoming speeches. Thank you. Over to you, Toastmaster Sheetal.
Thank you, Toastmaster Richard. Yes, Toastmaster Priya, the topic was really nice and interesting. I read this somewhere and it kept coming back to me. Even though we are in a sad mood, we are low, it is said that if while reading something, if we keep the pencil, the way we keep the pencil between our teeth, it expands our lips, and mentally the signals are sent to our brain as if it is like we are smiling, and that kind of lifts up our mood. So smiling is really good for health. It is nice, interesting topic. Thank you. So let's move on to Toastmaster Varun for the report on timer. Toastmaster Varun.
Thank you, Toastmaster Sheetal. So as a timer of the day, I'm running. I will tell the times which are taken. So the speaker Priya took 7 minutes, which was the main speech today. Going to the tabletop topic, the Varun took 1 minute. Richard took 1 minute 20 seconds. Sheetal took 1 minute 30 seconds. Richard took 2 minutes 15 seconds. Madhusmita took 1 minute 10 seconds. And Richard, as a evaluator role, took 3 minutes to share the evaluation. Thanks. Over to you, Toastmaster Sheetal.
Thank you, Toastmaster Varun. Over to you, Toastmaster Madhusmita, for your report.
Thank you, Toastmaster Setal. And congratulations, Toastmaster Priya, for completing your L4P1 speech. So as a AHA counter, I could observe that there were repetition of some of the words like it is, and few of the times you repeated those words that those were unnecessary, and there were that's also one of the unnecessary words, and you mentioned it 2 times. And to joint 2 statements you used and twice, that was also could have been avoided. And there were small pauses to recollect your thoughts or find proper words for mentioning it during the speech. That I believe you mentioned twice for those small bits. You paused small for twice. and ahas. Those ahas you mentioned several times. I don't want to mention those number of times, but there are many mentions of ahas. So hopefully you would make a note of these unnecessary or filler words and improve your next speech. Thank you. Over to you, Toastmaster Sital.
Thank you, Toastmaster Madhusmita. Over to you, Toastmaster Deepa, for the report on grammar. Yeah.
Thank you, Toastmaster Sheetal. Well, all of us spoke today. That was the best part. So I could pick up a lot of best usage of words, lot of new words which were spoken during your speeches. Some points for Toastmaster Priya. Your speech, I heard the words like about others unnecessarily output. I think that was incorrectly mentioned. Along with a broad smile. Along with a broad smile doesn't go with, it's a verb, so it has to be told she gave her a broad smile. You have to bring the verb with action to it, which was contagious. You put that also incorrectly. A small tip I would say here, when you write your speech, you use some, Grammarly is a great tool. Actually, you use some corrective tools like that. So the usage of the in between, the right sentence construction, the simplistic way of saying a sentence, all this would be corrected when you write a speech. And then when you're able to express it, it becomes easy on your mind to say it because it's not that long. It is shorter, crisper, and it says the meaning what you want to say. So that's something on your speech. Coming to the words what we use today, there were quite a lot of words I was able to record. Venture, enormity, inculcate, trust, TRYST. How do you pronounce that? Okay, trust. Yes, that's the word. I think that is something I'm going to introduce in the next grammar session. I would say imbibe, rejuvenate, inculcate, humility, quest, exploration. These are all great words we can use in our daily vocabulary. It just enhances the quality of the speech. Thank you so much, Toastmaster Sheetal. Back to you.
Thank you, Toastmaster Deepa. I would now like to give the overall evaluation for the meeting, for today's meeting. So the meeting started with a warm note by SAA. The PO could have been introduced much more in detail. All the role takers are starting from Toastmaster TMOD were introduced well. This shows the preparedness of individuals for the meeting. So we did not have any guests today. So that was taken care of. The theme today resonated well. So the TMOD made it interesting and interactive. Now I feel more knowledgeable on the subject. She kept bringing back our attention to the theme throughout the meeting and sharing a lot of insights into the subject. The table topics were interesting. It was very different, but I'm not sure if it needs to be aligned to the theme. So that was missing. So everybody was encouraged to talk since we were less participant today. I think all of us spoke. That was the nice thing. The timer, coming to the timer, he kept track of the time, indicating the speakers of the time limit they had. Our counters report was detailed. Thank you, Toastmaster Madhusmita. But maybe you want to share your screen going ahead. It would be much better for us to visually look at it while you're mentioning about the pauses that we have mentioned also. Grammarian shared the consolidated report. This will help us to improvise. Thank you, Toastmaster Deepa. So you shared the word for today. I think only Toastmaster Richa was the one to use it. Maybe we can start sharing the phrase, the sentence or the phrase of the day as well going ahead. The overall meeting went well as per the schedule. So this is all I have from my end. Over to you, Toastmaster Richa.
Thank you, Toastmaster Sheetal and the entire evaluations team. I hope we all learned a lot from today's meeting. One thing, thank you Toastmaster Varun for correcting me. Rakesh Sharma was not the third person, it was Michael Collins on board the Apollo 11. I don't know why do I have the history messed up in my mind, but I'll go back and revise that. Howsoever, there's every time from now on, whenever you look out, look at the sky and don't think that it's too far, the stars, right, or the moon, because we have reached there in the past and we will for sure reach there in the future. Before I end up, there's one of my favorite quotes which relates to the space and explorations and all of that, which I really love and it makes me wonder. And I wanted to share it all with share this with you all. It's from the book Contact. I haven't read it, but I came across this quote, and whenever I think about space, right? So it's by Carl Sagan, and it goes something like this: the universe is a really big place. If it's just us, doesn't it seem like an awful wastage of space? With that, thank you. Back to you, Toastmaster Richard, for closing the meeting.
Thank you, Toastmaster Richa. Can we have a huge round of applause for Toastmaster Richa for having taken us through a brilliant session today, an informative session. I have no clue. I'm very distant on this subject, so I gathered a lot of information from today's meeting. Thank you, Toastmaster Richa. With that, I will give you the link for the voting. So please go ahead and vote. While we have the voting on, we have no guests, so that is one bit. Let me announce the winners as you click on the voting button. Two more responses. One more. There you go. So the best role taker is Toastmaster of the Day, Toastmaster Richa. Best auxiliary role taker is Toastmaster Madhusmita. Best table topic speaker is Toastmaster Richa. With that, I have my closing thought, which goes, if you look at what you have in life, you will always have more. If you look at what you don't have in life, you will never have enough. With that, thank you for attending Speaker Squad meeting 115. We'll see you again next week in meeting number 116. I declare the session closed.
Thank you.
Thank you.
Thank you. Bye-bye, everyone.